Welcome back. Minding Mind, Part 10, which will be a two-parter. So this will finish up our book for us, and then we'll start the fiction book. And I have so many plans for the next year. But I'll be leaving community notes about that while this thing's uploading. Okay. This is called An Elementary Talk on Zen by Man Ann, Part A. Although the way of Buddhahood is long and far, ultimately there is not an inch of ground on earth. Although it is cultivated, realized, and mastered over a period of 3 incalculable eons, the true mind is not remote. Although there may be 500 miles of dangers and difficult road, the treasure is nearby. If people who study Zen to learn the way mistake a single step, or stir a single thought, they are 10 million lands and 10 billion eons away. You should simply see that your essential nature to attain Buddhahood. The scriptural teachings expounded by the Buddha over the course of his career are instructions for seeing essential nature. When it comes to seeing essential nature itself and awakening to the way, that is communicated separately outside of the doctrine and does not stand on written symbols. In this, there are no distinctions between sharp and dull people, the rich and the poor, Mechadins and lay people, Easterners or Westerners, ancients or moderns. It only depends on whether or not the will for enlightenment is there, and whether instruction and guidance are mistaken or accurate. Even if you get directions from 10,000 Buddhas and myriad Zen masters, if you yourself do not continue right mindfulness with purity and singleness of faith, you can never see the essential nature and awaken to the way. This is why you realize your own essential nature by means of your own mind and understand your own life by means of your own insight. If right mindfulness is not continuous and concentration is not pure and single-minded, your efforts will be in vain. This right mindfulness means not having any thoughts. Concentration means not conceiving any mental images. Zen Master Dogen said, "Thinking of what does not think is the essential art of sitting meditation." If you concentrate intensely 24 hours a day, the same in activity as in quiet, principle and fact is one, then inward and outward bedevilments lose their ways of getting at you, and you get beyond all obstruction. Good and bad, right and wrong, pain and pleasure, advantage and adversity, are all shed at once. The root compulsion by beginningless ignorance is severed, and you see the original state as it was, before space and time. Before space and time does not mean something remote in space and time. Don't think of it as something ancient. It is the immediate experience of seeing essential nature right now. It is the time when you let go of yourself and give up compulsion. It should be understood, furthermore, that invocation of Buddha names and resuscitation of scriptures are also sharp swords for severing the root of compulsion. Don't think that by accumulating effort and building up merit you will be reborn after death to see Buddha. Don't seek resulting rewards of blessings and graces. You should be unattached to the marvelous. As past, present, and future mind cannot be grasped, right mindfulness appears spontaneously. Whatever you are doing, concentrate wholeheartedly on questioning the inner master that perceives, cognizes, and emotes. If your effort is weak, real wondering will not occur, and false imagining will be hard to expel. If you want to achieve early fulfillment, brandish the precious sword given by the Mind King, and march right ahead. If you meet Buddhas, kill the Buddhas. If you meet Zen masters, kill Zen masters. If you meet your parents, kill your parents. If you meet the masses of living beings, kill the masses of living beings. Totally massacre. everything animate and inanimate, all forms and appearances, mountains, rivers, and the earth, all times and all places, good, bad, right and wrong, plus everything else that appears and disappears, coming and going through the doors of the 6 senses and the alleys of the 7 consciousnesses. Having killed it all completely, when you turn a when you turn a flip and appear in the realm of cosmic space, you can be called a real hero. When you get to this point, you will not doubt that Buddhas and sentient beings, enlightenment and affliction, samsara and nirvana, heaven and hell, are illusions. In Zen study, you should not slack off for an instant, alerting your vital spirit as you breathe in and out, watching your step as you walk forth and back. Be as if you were galloping on a single horse into an opposing army of 1,000,000 troops armed with a single sword. As long as our concentration is not purely single-minded in both activity and stillness, it'll be hard to attain even a little accord. Concentration of right mindfulness should be cultivated most especially in the midst of activity. You need not necessarily prefer stillness. There is a tendency to think that Zen practice will be quicker under conditions of stillness and quiet, and that activity is distracting. But the power attained by cultivation in stillness is uncertain when you deal with active situations. It has a cowardly and weakly function. In that case, what do you call empowerment? Concentration of right mindfulness is a state of absorption that is in itself 24 hours a day, but one does not even know it consciously. Even though you work all day, you do not get tired out, and even though you sit alone or stand silently for a long time, you do not get bored. To search out enlightenment with principle and fact unified is called genuine study. If you want to quickly attain mastery of all truths and be independent in all events, there is nothing better than concentration in activity. That is why it is said that students of mysticism working on the way should sit in the midst of the material world. The third patriarch of Zen said, "If you want to head for the way of unity, do not be adverse to the objects of the 6 senses." This does not mean that you should indulge in the objects of the 6 senses. It means that you should keep right mindfulness continuous, neither grasping nor rejecting the objects of the 6 senses in the course of everyday life. Like a duck going into the water without its feathers getting wet. If, in contrast, you despise the objects of the 6 senses and try to avoid them, you'll fall into escapist tendencies and never fulfill the way of Buddhahood. If you clearly see the essence, then the objects of the 6 senses are themselves meditations. Sensual desires are themselves the way of unity, and all things are manifestations of reality. Entering into this great Zen stability, undivided by movement and stillness, body and mind are both freed and eased. As for people who set out to cultivate spiritual practice with aversion to the objects and the desires of the senses, even if their minds and thoughts are empty and still, and their contemplative visualization is perfectly clear, still, when they leave the quietude and get into active situations, they are like a fish out of water, like monkeys out of trees. Even people who go deep into mountain forests, cut off relations with the world forever, and eat from the fruits of the trees as ascetics, cannot easily attain pure singleness of concentration. Needless to say, it is even more difficult for those who are Mekadents in name only, or shallow householders who are so busy making a living. In truth, unless you have definite certitude of overwhelming faith, or are filled with overwhelming doubt or wonder, or are inspired with overwhelming commitment, or are overtaken by overwhelming death, it is hard to attain concentration that is pure and undivided in principle and fact, action and stillness. If you are wholeheartedly careful of how you spend your time, aware of the effervescence of life, concentrating single-mindedly on Zen work even in the midst of objects of desire, if you proceed straight ahead, the iron walls will open up. You will experience the immense joy of walking over the polar mountain and become the master within the objects of sense. You will be like a lotus blossom blooming in the fire, becoming all the more colorful and more fragrant in contact with the energy of fire. Do not say that it is harder for lay people living in the world of senses and desires to sit and meditate, or that it is hard to concentrate with so many worldly duties, or that one with an official or professional career cannot practice Zen, or that the poor and sickly do not have the power to work on the way. These excuses are all due to impotence of faith and superficiality of the thought of enlightenment. If you observe that the matter of life and death is serious, and that the world is really impermanent, the will for enlightenment will grow. The thieving heart of egoism, selfishness, pride, and covetousness will gradually die out, and you will come to work on the way by sitting meditation, in which principle, in fact, are one. Suppose you were to lose your only child in a crowd, or drop an invaluable gem. Do you think you would let the child or the gem go at that, just because of the bustle of the mob? Would you not look for them even if you had a lot of work to do, or were poor and sickly? Even if you had to plunge into an immense crowd of people and had to continue searching into the night, you would not be easy in mind until you had found and retrieved your child or your gem. To have been born human and heard true teaching is a very rare opportunity. So, to neglect meditation because of your career is to treat the life of wisdom, of the body of truths of the Buddhas, less seriously than worldly chattels. But if you search for wisdom single-mindedly, like someone who has lost a child or dropped a gem, one day you will undoubtedly encounter it, whereupon you will light up with joy. People in all walks of life have all sorts of things to attend to. How could they have the leisure to sit silently all day in quiet contemplation? Here, there are Zen teachers who have not managed to cultivate this sitting meditation and concentration. They teach deliberate seclusion and quietude, avoiding population centers, stating that intensive meditation concentration cannot be attained in the midst of the professional work, business, and labor, thus causing students to apply their minds mistakenly. People who listen to this kind of talk consequently think of Zen as something that is hard to do and hard to practice. So they give up the inspiration to cultivate Zen, abandon the source, and try to escape, time and again becoming like lowly migrant workers. This is truly lamentable. Even if they have a deep aspiration due to some cause in the past, they get to where they neglect their jobs and lose their social virtues for the sake of the way. As an ancient said, if people today were as eager for enlightenment as they were to embrace their lovers, then no matter how busy their professional lives might be, no matter how luxurious their dwellings might be, they would not fail to attain continuous concentration leading to the appearance of the great wonder. Many people of both ancient and modern times have awakened to the way and seen essential nature in the midst of activity. All beings in all times and places are manifestations of one mind. When the mind is aroused, all sorts of things arise. When the mind is quiet, all things are quiet. When the one mind is unborn, all things are blameless. For this reason, even if you want to stay in quiet and serene places deep in the mountains, and sit silently in quiet contemplation, as long as the road of the monkey mind's horse of conceptualization is not cut off, you will only be wasting time. third patriarch of Zen said, "If you try to stop movement and resort to stillness, that stopping will cause even more movement. If you try to seek true suchness by erasing random thoughts, you will belabor your vital spirit, diminishing your mental energy, and get sick. Not only that, you will become oblivious or distracted and fall into a pit of bewilderment. You should use the two methods of cessation and observation to perfect discipline, concentration, and insight. Cessation is Zen concentration. Observation is insight. In cessation of mind, intellect, and consciousness are inactive, preventing all misconduct. Cutting off the root of unconscious compulsion, there is no transgression of precepts, major or minor. In observation, there is no attachment to appearances of conduct. All ideas of self and things are empty. Obstructions are caused by beginningless habitual actions are annihilated. And the spiritual light of the essential self shines through everywhere, inside and outside. There is no cessation without observation, and no observation without cessation. Combining the two truths of emptiness and conditional existence, the ultimate truth of the middle way is established. Models for practice of sitting and ways of applying the mind in concentration have come down through tradition from Buddhas and Zen masters. You should know, too, that there are also types of sitting meditation typically practiced by seekers of individual liberation, seekers of heavenly states, humanitarians, and assorted cultists. Those who aspire to unsurpassed enlightenment should practice the sitting meditation of Buddhas and Zen masters. Buddhas and Zen masters conceive great compassion from the outset, never forgetting the great mass of living beings. Sitting in the lotus posture, keeping the body upright, maintaining correct mindfulness, cessation and observation, and tuning the breathing are essential arts of sitting meditation. In a clean and uncluttered room, or under a tree, or atop a rock, spread a thick sitting mat. Then loosen your belt and sit. First bend the right leg and put the right foot on the left thigh. Then place the left foot on the right thigh. Now, put the right hand on the left leg, palm up. Place the left hand palm up on top of the right palm. And let the two thumbs embrace each other. Sit straight, neither leaning backward nor forward, aligning the ears with the shoulders and the nose with the navel. With the eyes open as normal, keep watch over the tip of your nose. Do not close your eyes, for that will beckon oblivion and drowsiness. Rest your mind in the palm of your left hand, and have your energy fill your lower abdomen, waist, and pelvic region, and legs. Expanding the ocean of energy in the umbilical sphere, take one deep breath and expel it completely through the mouth. Then close the lips and let fresh air enter through the nose in a continuous, subtle respiration, neither hurried nor sluggish. Being aware of the exit and entry of the breath, think of what is not thinking. If you concentrate intensely, basic energy will naturally fill you and solidify you. Your lower abdomen will become like a gourd or a ball. The rule for practicing meditation is to walk slowly, or pacing meditation is to walk slowly, calmly, and carefully, each step with each breath, following a straight course around a square perimeter. Then you want to get up. When you want to get up from the stillness to pace around, massage and move your body, rising calmly and carefully. Walk slowly along a straight path. Move the right foot first, then the left. Each time you take a step, let it be half the length of your foot, and move each foot in the interval of one breath. Watch the ground about 7 feet in front of you and stand up straight as you walk. When you want to turn to the right, walking forward, walking back. If your concentration is pure and single, truth will become manifest, and there will be no subjectivity in your standpoint. As for the method of tuning the breathing, after having settled in your seat, nurture your mental energy in the ocean of the energy and field of elixir, not letting it push upward from the umbilical sphere. Breathe through the nose, neither too rapidly nor too slowly, neither panting or puffing. When you breathe out, know that you're breathing out. When you breathe in, know that you're breathing in. Focus your consciousness on your breathing. Do not let consciousness go up and down or out and in. Not thinking discursively, not making intellectual or emotional interpretations, not trying to figure anything out, simply being aware of outgoing and incoming breathing, not missing a single breath. When this concentration becomes continuous, the physical elements of the body become well tuned, the internal organs are purified, and the upper parts are clear and cool, while the lower parts are warm. Body and mind will spontaneously produce great joyfulness. When you maintain an open, silent, radiant awareness, whether you are active, stationary, sitting, or reclining, vehemently arouse the intensest determination. At this time, if you have the slightest conscious discrimination, any thought of peace, bliss, or seeing essence, you will never be able to get out of birth and death, even in 100 eons and in 1,000 lifetimes. If you have faith profoundly settled and galvanized in concentration to bring on the great death, suddenly you will find the bottom fall out of the bucket and kick over the alchemical furnace, passing beyond myriad eons in a single instant, crushing the universe underfoot with a step. What is there to doubt or wonder about in the saying of the great Indian Zen master Patanjali, Prajnatara? Breathing out, I do not get involved in objects. Breathing in, I do not dwell on mental or material elements. As a beginning, when inexperienced, if your breathing becomes congested, constricted, and irregular, then rock your body forward and backward, and to the left and to the right, to refresh your mind. Expel the turbid energy from below the navel in 1 and 2 breaths, or in 1 to 3 breaths. With the breath passing through the nose, making it go from rough to fine, then having it go out and in very subtly. If you become drowsy or distracted, then count your breaths from 1 to 10, stopping at 10 and repeating again from 1 to 10. In this manner, counting up to 10 over and over again, you should mentally watch your exhalations with accurate mindfulness. Techniques such as visualization of the dissolution of the material elements, visualization of bones and flesh returning to their origins, and other such traditional exercises are also effective. The secret of inner gazing and nurturing life, and the mortalist's wondrous art of refining elixir are also based on methods of tuning the breathing taught in Buddhism. When you apply your mind to it wholeheartedly, sitting meditation is really a way to present and future peace and bliss. In a textbook of immortalism, it says, "What is most essential to nurturing life is refining the body. The subtle aspect of refining the body is in congealing the spirit. When the spirit congeals, energy accumulates. When energy accumulates, the elixir develops. When the elixir develops, the body is stabilized. When the body is stable, the spirit is whole. Obviously, the elixir of immortality is not a material thing after all. The spot 1.5 inches below the navel is called the ocean of energy. This is the place where the basic energy is stored and nurtured. Below that is called the field of elixir. This is the site where vitality and spirit are melded. When spiritual energy always fills here, you remain free from sickness, robustly healthy, and live for a long time without aging. For this reason, realized human beings do not belabor their vitality and do not cramp their spirit. The art of nurturing life is like maintaining a nation. Spirit is like the ruler. Vitality is like the administration. Energy is like the people. To care for the people is the way to keep a nation at peace. To care for the people is the way to keep the nation at peace. To be sparing of your energy is the way to keep the body sound. When energy is used up, the body dies. When people are displaced, a country perishes. An enlightened leader focuses concern on those below. An ignorant ruler acts whimsically toward those below. When rulers act whimsically, the cabinet members flaunt their authority, counting on the ruler's favor and indulgence, paying no attention to the desperate straits of the people below. Greedy ministers plunder rapaciously. Callous officials steal by deceit. The faithful and the moral go into hiding, and common people are embittered. We are going to stop here, and I'll probably reread that again in the conclusion.